Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Today, I am joined by the amazing Steven of the YouTube channel Craven Something Scary. How you doing today, man?
Man, I am great. How are you, Ken?
I am doing so good. This is so awesome. We've worked together before on your channel, and I'm so glad to have you over here on mine for a little bit.
Oh,
A
man,
little bit
same
about
here.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, a little. It's funny because we connected through our genuine love of Wes Craven and all things Craven, and um,
Yes.
it's really amazing to finally be able to work with you on this channel.
Same here,
Um,
man.
yeah, thank
I
you for
love it.
doing this.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Yeah, a little bit about you for the people that don't know you. Your channel features all horror all the time. You dive into all things Wes Craven, Scream, Halloween, horror and thriller in general. But your primary focus really is on updates, reactions, reviews, discussion videos, and live streams. You got some of the dopest live streams in the business, my friend. So how did
Thank
everything
you.
get started for you over there?
What's that? What'd you say again? I'm sorry, you went out on me. Sorry.
No, you're fine. How did things get started for you over there? What made you
Oh,
decide that this is something you wanted to do?
absolutely, man. Great question. So I actually had started a different channel with a friend of mine, one of my best friends, doing reaction videos, and he is not a horror fan at all. He just said
Okay.
it's not his thing, and so I drug him, literally kicking and screaming. He's actually was a good sport, but I drug him into the Scream world. I said, "Look, I want to have like we called it Scream Fest, and we had a guest collaborator come on, and we would talk about each film." And this is before Scream Fest. It's like August of last year, and it was such a great experience. And I enjoyed the people I reached out to in the horror community because I was already watching people in the horror community already at the time. So,
Sure.
but not as a creator. I was doing reaction videos to trailers and all this stuff. So I decided at that moment I wanted to do my own. Like we still have the channel, but I wanted to do my own horror, all horror all the time. That's why I use the tagline because I want to make it up front. Everyone knows up front, this is what I'm going to do. Every video is going to be a horror video, and
Right.
it just went from there, man. It really, what got me started was when Rose McGowan turned down the offer to come on to Scream 5 to do voiceover acting. And my very first video was September 4th of last year to break the news. I was in the middle of COVID. I had a horrible 3 weeks of COVID so I had the horrible thing. Sorry, I didn't actually mean to say that name. But that slipped out. So I had the thing, and I said, I don't care. I sound like death warmed over, Ken, but I don't care because I have to share this news about Rose McGowan. So anyway, that's where it started, and then it's just grown from there into and the only reason I'm doing live streams is because when I hit my first 1,000 subs, I wanted to do something special and different that I hadn't done before, and I was nervous as heck. And I did the live stream at AUI. I ended up loving it. I ended up absolutely loving that live interaction, and so ever since then, it's now like become a big part of what I do. And now I'm doing interviews with cast members, and got writer directors and interviews coming up. And I've really decided after 6.5 months, Ken, that I want my channel to be what we talked about. It's updates, it's theories, it's news, but it's also interviews. It's like this whole package thing. And so I think I finally found my rhythm.
Dude, and the good thing about what you're saying right there is the more you do, the better. That way you don't get stale, not just for the people that are watching, but for yourself. There are times where burnout happens, and if you get burned out on doing one thing, now you have the ability to go to others. That's what I love about your channel is every time I get a notification that a new video or a new live is coming up, it's going to be an interview. It's going to be breaking news on Scream 6. Like there's never that, you are never in that repetitious thing. And that's what I love and respect, because as content creators, that's something we really strive for. Obviously, my first horror movie is something special to me, but I didn't see that coming. My verses, my live streams, these are all things that mean so much to me. And it's a way to break the monotony of just doing the same thing over and over again. So
it really is, man. It keeps it fresh. Yeah.
And if you guys haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It's down here in the description, as well as Steven's social media links. Because like you said, he has interviews with some of the coolest people. You had the girl from the bathroom from Scream, Sidney Prescott's mother, Maureen herself, which was super cool. So, and many, many more to come. So Now, you are a very big influence in the horror community now, but that had to start somewhere for you, Steven. So I want to go back to the past and talk about
Sure.
what got you started in the horror genre, your first horror movie. And breaking news, this is the first time I've gotten to talk about this movie on the channel. So I'm very excited. Steven,
Oh,
your first horror
hey.
movie was.
A Terror Train, 1980, baby, 1980, with Jamie Lee Curtis, fresh off of Halloween in '78, and she's the Scream Queen, in terms
Yeah.
of the original, the OG, and yeah, man, it was Terror Train, and that movie for the longest time, I would never go back and rewatch that movie. I was so young when,
Right.
when I saw it. I won't jump ahead to what we're talking about, but anyway, it was Terror Train. I'll stop there for now. It was Terror Train.
Right. And do you remember who you watched that with the first time you had seen it?
Oh yeah, I'll never forget. I was actually in the theater in 1980 with my older sister, who drugged me to this movie, and my dad may have been there. Okay, I don't remember for sure because I was so traumatized by the event of the night. All I remember was, but I remember my sister was sitting next to me. I know that, and I will never, and I give her a hard time about it still to this day about taking me. She might have been with on a date. I think she was on a date. I really do.
She's like, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, exactly, man, for real. I think it's one of those things where she was like stuck with me, like you're gonna watch your brother, and she's but she didn't want to be with her boyfriend. So what do? You take everybody, and
Right.
taking me to a horror film at that age, my very first time to see anything that was not pleasant, in nature. It was
Right.
shocking. It was shocking, and the funny thing is, the movie's not that shocking. Like, it took me years to watch it as an adult. I finally said, I'm going to go back. I'm going to face the terror again from my childhood. Dude, it's not bad. It's like crazy how time changes things, and growing up.
Dude, yeah, and you watch it now and you're like, this scared me.
Yeah,
This is what I was so scared of. But when you get
exactly.
that first time and it's your first introduction, your brain plays so many tricks on you as to what's really going on. And
Yeah.
like you said, this movie has become somewhat of a cult classic now. Do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most when you were sitting in that movie theater with your sister?
You're gonna laugh, man, because it's the one, I don't know why it did, but there's a scene, one of the earlier kills, where the guy's like in a dragon costume or something, a lizard type costume, and he kills him, and there's blood in the bathroom. He hides the body in one of the bathrooms on the train, and when the conductor opens the door, I just remember I was already freaked out, man. I already had my whole eyes covered up like this, mess thing. And so I'm watching it through the slits of my fingers, and there's blood all over the sink. Like there's blood on the sink and the wall. And that little scene of just seeing blood all over stuff messed with me so bad, man. It freaked me out. It's scary. It horrified me,
Well, and you got to think a lot of this stuff, especially with this movie and you at a young age, is a lot of it's going over your head. Blood is real. Blood is something you've seen. So to see that much of it in any enclosed area, that something's happened, something really bad.
Yes.
Even though a lot of the adult type jokes are going over your head and stuff like that, blood doesn't go over your head because we've known that since we were born. We see blood, we know that's bad news. So I completely understand and respect how that scene could affect you so much, because at a young age, that is the one thing that we do know. We don't get a lot of the sex jokes or a lot of the adult humor. We get the blood because we know that.
Sir. That's a good point, Ken, because it's universal. It's the universal language. We know that that's not supposed to be on the outside. That's supposed to be on the inside. And if it's changed locations, that's never good. It's just not a good thing.
We'll go Bruce Almighty. I be positive that shit stays inside my body. So
exactly, I be positive.
Another good thing about Terror Train is you could actually lump this into the horror comedy genre, because there are some really, really good comedy moments to the movie. As a young boy, do you remember what your favorite scene was, or was this a little bit too traumatizing to you to really have a favorite scene from the film?
My favorite scene, I'm trying to remember back because it's changed. Because when I saw the movie as an adult, I had a new favorite scene. I actually could call it a favorite scene, not a horrifying scene. You know what I mean? Like, because there was no favorite scene before I was an adult. It was all terrifying. But I will have to say that my favorite scene is one that there's a scene where Jamie Lee fights with the killer, and you think that they're knocked off the train outside, and you see that they actually held on, and she's in her bed in her cabin or whatever, and she's laying on her side, and then she's facing the camera, and then behind her is the window, and you see the mask like slowly just creeping down into view in the window, and it is creepy as heck. I love the scene. I think it's actually a really cool shot now where the mask just comes into view. And I think the other thing too, the dadgum killer continued to change masks. There was different, I mean, every time you turn around, they're in a different costume, which I thought was one of the best parts of the movie, was doing that.
It actually ups the ante because you don't know what to expect. There's always that expect the unexpected, but now it's even more. Because now what am I looking for exactly?
Yes, I loved that, man. That was, again, I love it now. Then it was terrifying, but I can say that's a favorite. It's a favorite scene now.
Sure.
And I have to also say, again, didn't appreciate it, didn't even know at that age, but looking back, David freaking Copperfield is in a slasher movie, dude. I'm like, this is insane to me now. And again, I didn't know it at the time, but now looking back, I was like, I gotta respect the dude. He was young, but he still did it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, he definitely rocked it out. So now we talk about which scene affected you the most, and we talk about your favorite scene from the film. But I want to go a little bit darker here. Obviously, as horror fans, something we love is the kills. It's something that means a lot to us when we're watching a film. What would you say your favorite kill from Terror Train would be?
Okay, it's the guy who was decapitated off camera. He comes up and you see, and he decapitates him. And the reason it's my favorite death is because when they find his body, the conductor comes in, he opens up a where they sleep, the little, the sleeping area, whatever. And he opens it up, and the body falls out, comes rolling down, and the head rolls down. And dude, there's the camera does a shot where it just focuses on the head, and it is, and of course, again, as an adult, it's like it's very fake head. But when I watched that as a kid, man, that death scene, when I looked out and I saw the head just laying there cut off, it was horrible, man. So I think that'd be my favorite death scene. It has to be, because it was just the way it affected me. Looking back on it, it was effective because how it affected me, if that makes sense.
Right. No, and I get it, because again, we talked about the blood being on the outside. The head is supposed to be up here, not laying on the ground over there.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like 5 feet away from you. It's not, it doesn't work. And those two scenes, those really summed up kind of, especially as a kid, man, that really affected me and messed with me.
Right. Well, and now this next question, I think I know the answer to, but I got to ask you anyway, Stephen. We talked about your first horror movie and how much that meant to you, but now, as a Craven fan, I got to go scream on you here for a second. My little buddy Ghostface has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Stephen?
Oh,
what is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh, it's Scream. It's Scream 96, man. There's no question about it. It sits upon the mountain of horror films and looks down upon all others. Not down in like negative, but like, but they're all are underneath
on top. The mountain stopped somewhere, and that's the top of your mountain. So
that's it, bro. That's it. I honestly, I believe Ken 96. I'm Ken 96. I believe Scream 96. Maybe there's a Ken 96 on the Google. But Scream 96 to me is about as close to perfect as you're gonna ever find. I mean, from the execution, the acting, the cinematography, the story, the mystery, everything just hits to me. For me, it hits on every level. And I saw that, and I've been happy to see every Scream movie in a theater, which was so friggin' cool. And I remember in January of 97 watching that movie, and I walked out to leave into my car, and I was like, this, I've just watched something very special. This is not normal. Like, this is not a normal horror movie.
Right.
And it affected me that day. It blew my mind in the theater, and it's been blowing my mind ever since then. That's what I always say, because it was just perfectly executed. And every time I watch it 25 years later, it still is as good to me it was in 97, man.
And I agree with you there. The one thing I will say is the closest horror movie to being a perfect movie for me is also a Craven film, but that is the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Of course, yes.
If you take out the fucking Freddy car and the blow up doll mom at the end, perfect movie, absolutely perfect movie. So,
which you know the story, Ken, that was an add-on. That wasn't even Wes didn't even write that in the original movie, and it was Bob Shea that says you got to add that. I want this, I want this added on at the end. So Wes tacked the shot, did the ending, but that was not Wes, and Wes was always very upfront to say this was not my ending. My ending was, is going to end there, and there's not going to be the suck them through the door. And, I mean, again.
And it's funny because they're like, we're going to do this as a setup for the sequel. And the sequel has nothing to do with it.
Nothing. No.
Funny, man.
Oh, it is. It is.
So I had a great time talking with you, Stephen. And for those of you that don't know, Stephen and I will be working again in the future.
You bet. Yes.
But before we sign off here, my friend, I do got one last question for you. We're going to bounce back to Terror Train. And what we're going to do is we're going to rank this on a skull count. Now, what we're doing, Stephen, we're not being critics. We're not judging it by acting, production, score, nothing like that. What we're doing is strictly judging Terror Train on how much it affected you on first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being very effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. What would your ranking of Terror Train be, my friend?
Okay. And again, disclaimer, guys. Okay. Disclaimer. I can't even, I'm going to say this. I was 6 years old.
Right.
Okay. 6 years old. So cut me some slack. Having said that, I'm going to answer your question. How did it affect me when I first saw it? It was 4 3/4 stars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to be close to 5, man, because it affected me in a bad way. Like it messed me up for days, man.
And see, I've got friends that, funny enough, I have a good friend of mine. He watched Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time. And after the Jesus Garcia Rod thing, he didn't sleep with sheets on his bed for years because he was that scared of it. So,
yes,
man, I really do, Stephen, appreciate you taking the time out to come hang out with me. And everybody watching, these links down here will not click themselves. So make sure you're clicking the links down here, following him on social media. Make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. If you watch his live streams, you will notice the impact and influence that he's had on me in my live streams. Being a guest on his really made me want to up the ante on what I was doing. So,
thank you.
No problem, man. Truth is truth. And not only is Stephen a friend of mine, he's an influence of mine. I look up to what he does. He's very genuine, very kind, and I couldn't recommend a channel any more than I could his. So make sure you're checking him out. Stephen, don't go anywhere, my friend. I got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.